Okay, so to bring us home today, we have our final presenter, which is Astute Metals NL. Astute has an ASX code of ASE. It has a market cap of approximately 12 million. Astute is a critical minerals explorer with a principal focus on advancing clay-hosted lithium exploration in Nevada in the US, along with a copper-gold greenfields project in the Northern Territory and a resource development heavy mineral sands project in southwest WA. Presenting for the company today is Executive Director Matt Healy. Matt, welcome to the Hidden Gems webinar series, and please take it away.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the introduction, Manny. It's great to be here. Look, I guess a hidden gem is something that can be described as, something that possesses value, but it's not immediately apparent. So that's that kind of definition of what sparked our interest and what we thought would be good to join everyone on the webinar today, because a hidden gem is really an excellent description for Astute Metals. And I trust that all your viewers will feel the same way at the end of this talk. Next slide, please. So Astute is a diversified mineral explorer, and three main projects, three main commodity areas. The Georgina Basin, it's copper gold exploration and a new exploration frontier in the Northern Territory. And off the back of some geophysical modelling that we've just completed last month, we've identified a really outstanding large copper gold target situated directly above copper and uranium mineralization in a drill hole. Lithium clay exploration in Nevada. Lithium clays are an attractive exploration proposition. They offer a number of benefits over hard rock lithium, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And we've generated a really large soil anomaly here, backed up by some rock chip sampling at our recently staked Red Mountain project. And rounding out the stable is the Governor Broome project, heavy mineral sands, 101 million tonnes of JORC resources, most of which is the high confidence measured and indicated categories. And we've got high value mineralogy there. The metallurgical test work is done. So it's quite advanced. So of those are the three key project areas, and we're actively pursuing value creation in all of those projects. We have three triggers for value creation in the next 4 months. First off the rank is the scoping study for that Governor Broome heavy mineral sands project. It's entering its final stages, and that's going to be announced next month. We're also late next month, we'll look to commence drilling in Nevada, where we're targeting our large lithium and soil anomalies. Assays for that one will probably be expected around about May. And finally, we'll be testing that outstanding copper gold target in the Northern Territory in June, July. Next slide, please. So this is our board of directors. We've got two ex-Pilbara Minerals directors, which is fantastic for a lithium explorer like us. In fact, Tony Leibowitz, he was one of the founders of Pilbara, and he took that company from a $2.5 million market cap to almost $1 billion capitalization. John Young, who's also a technical director for Pilbara Minerals, and myself, I'm a geologist by trade. I've got 18 years experience, mainly in critical metals exploration and resource development. And Vince Fayed, he's got over 40 years in corporate finance. Next slide, please. Yeah, just the corporate overview. 410 million shares on issue, $12.3 million market cap at the moment, and $2.5 million in the bank as of the end of the calendar year. And the top 20 shareholders hold just under 70% of the company, so we're pretty tightly held. Next slide. So Georgina, this is our project located in the Northern Territory. It's a large project. Next slide, please. It's in a very sought after, next slide. Thank you. It's in a very sought after region of the Northern Territory. We've got a lot of junior explorers and some of the majors in the region. You can see by the map on the screen there. Astute's tenements are in the bright green, but we've got some majors here. So Teck, they've got the big slab of blue out to the right of the image, and Newcrest in the orange, well, now Newmont, I should say. So a highly sought after area. And that comes off the back of Geoscience Australia. They identified this region as highly prospective iron oxide copper gold deposits. Next slide, please. If you haven't heard of iron oxide copper gold deposits, let me tell you, these are very highly economically attractive. One example, Olympic Dam, that's in South Australia. That's a world-class mineral deposit by any measure. It's been mined since 1988. It's still going. It's got one of the world's largest. It's one of the world's largest copper deposits, and it's the world's largest uranium reserve. Ernest Henry, which is located in northwest Queensland, that's been mined since 1998. That's another IOCG deposit, open cut and underground, and that even after 20 years of mining, it was still worth $1 billion, which is what Evolution paid for it off Glencore a couple of years back. So you can see the size of the prize that we're looking for, and also you can see that a discovery of this style of deposit would be an absolute company maker for a company like Astute. Now, one of the defining characteristics of these deposits is that they're made up of very dense rocks, and we've completed some geophysical modeling using gravity data to look for dense rocks, and that's exactly what we found. And that image on the right there, the area in red, that's very dense. It's about twice as dense as your average rock, and then that yellow zone around it, that's still well above average density. So that's pretty exciting, but what's even more exciting is that that anomaly is sitting directly above copper and uranium mineralization in our first drill hole that Astute drilled at the project. So just like Olympic Dam, we got copper and uranium anomalism sitting directly beneath some very dense rocks off the back of this modeling. So, I mean, I've been exploring for these style of deposits for over a decade, and I can tell you it does not get much more compelling than this. So we're finalising our modelling, and we're going to get our permitting done and look to drill test that in the middle of the year. Next slide, please. So lithium clays, these are a relatively new style of lithium deposit, and they're a smart choice for three reasons. One, clays can produce battery product at the mine. You get a premium that's associated with producing a value-added product. They produce them at a relatively cheap cost when you compare that to pegmatite deposits, and they've got economies that only come with large-scale projects. Next slide, please. I won't spend too much time on this one, but it's really just to highlight the difference. This is a lithium carbonate cost curve. It shows the cost to take lithium to a carbonate, i.e. a battery product, and it compares projects from all around the world. Now, those ones I've highlighted in green, those are lithium clay projects. The ones in grey are your spodumene projects that produce a concentrate. Now, of course, that concentrate needs to go to somewhere like China to be processed, turned into lithium carbonate and on sold. So as you can see, I've got in the dashed line there, that's around about the current spot price for lithium carbonate. And you can see that lithium clay projects, even in this kind of subdued lithium pricing environment, still have a healthy margin. And when you compare it to your hard rock projects, you can see why they're suffering at the moment. And for direct comparison is Pilgangoora, which is Pilbara Minerals, of course. And that's arguably the world's premier spodumene operation for comparison. All right, next slide, please. Just a map of Nevada, just showing where the location of the major clay deposits are there, and our projects in the red on the map. And really just to highlight the scale. So large mineral resources, up to 5.5 billion tonnes, contain a lot of lithium, up to 21.5 million tonnes contained lithium carbonate, and long life assets up to 40 years. So they're very attractive. They're a long-term proposition, and that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for that kind of scale. Next slide, please. And so that scale is exactly what we found at Red Mountain. So this is a gridded soil sampling campaign we conducted, 800 samples. We've identified a 8-kilometre long soil anomaly. We've backed that up with some rock chip samples that demonstrate higher grades than the lithium in the soils. And we're going to go out there and drill test that next month, with the assays probably coming in around about May. Next slide, please. Governor Broome. So this is our most advanced project, located in the heart of mineral sands country. Next slide. 101 million tonnes of JORC resources, mostly measured and indicated. It's got a great heavy mineral grade of 4.5%, high value mineralogy. We've done the bulk test work. We know that you can produce marketable mineral products from it. The project has excellent infrastructure. So we've got sealed roads right to the project, high voltage line running right through, 2 heavy mineral sands processing facilities within 135 k's. You've got Doral, Australia, and Iluka, both their facilities. And of course, the deepwater port at Bunbury, which is a bulk commodity port that is experienced in handling mineral sands products. So it's a great place to have a project. It's hard to ask for more than that. So it's an advanced project. We demonstrated that it can produce heavy mineral products, and so we've got that in a scoping study that will be completed next month. Next slide, please. So in summary, what does an Astute investment look like? Well, you've got a largely de-risked heavy mineral sands project with excellent infrastructure, a scoping study underway coming out in the next month. We're exploring for a new style of lithium deposit, lithium clays, which can produce a battery product at the mine for a low price, and they've got the economies that come with scale. We've identified a large-scale soil anomaly at Red Mountain, and we're looking to drill test that next month as well, with assays expected in May. And finally, last but not least, we have an outstanding high-impact copper-gold target at Georgina and a new exploration frontier. It's got world-class potential, and we're looking to test that potential come June, July. We've got sufficient funds in the bank to complete all of those programs on there. And with an EV of under $10 million, with strong leadership, world-class copper and lithium potential, underscored by substantial JORC resources, we think Astute Metals is quite literally the hidden gem. So we hope you agree with us and go out and buy some shares. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. That's great. Let me start with a quick question. Lithium clay versus spodumene, right? Can you elaborate a little bit on that? And I think a lot of Australians are probably familiar with spodumene, not so much with the lithium clays, but can you give us an idea of what the advantages are of lithium clay versus spodumene, and perhaps what, if there are any disadvantages?
Yeah, look, sure. Lithium clays form these. The key geological difference, let's say, is they tend to be much bigger deposits and they're lower grade. So if we're going to do an analog, they're the porphyry copper deposits of the lithium world, right? So they're very big. They tend to be strike extensive. They're flat lying, which means when you get into mining, and if they come to the surface, then you've got a relatively low strip ratio. They're comprised of soft rocks, which means you don't necessarily need to drill and blast. So you've got those benefits from a mining perspective, and from a processing perspective, the lithium is typically just liberated from the clay with an acid leach. Okay, so then it's a matter of you get the lithium into your solution, and then it's filtration, and then you get the other stuff out of the solution you don't want, or your impurities, and then you evaporate it to produce your product. So that's kind of the 30-second lithium clay story for mining and processing. And if you want to compare that with pegmatites, I mean, they're hard rocks. They're if you're going to produce that a spodumene concentrate, 90% of our spodumene concentrate goes to China, where it has to get heated up to 1100 degrees Celsius to break down the spodumene and get the lithium out. So it's energy intensive, it's expensive, there's another profit margin, there's a conversion cost involved as well. And then there's the whole geopolitical element, which is another thing altogether. So our view was that we think that longer term, the lithium clays are going to be a significant producer of lithium, and a substantial one. They only make up about 7% of global resources at the moment, but we think that when they sort of come into their own, that they're going to be a big player, and that's where we wanted to be. So we sort of looked ahead, and that's that lithium clays offer up those benefits that we want to deliver to our shareholders.
Okay, great. And staying with the US, US regulatory approvals and dealing with the regulators and sort of the different agencies involved can sometimes be challenging, as it is, I guess, in most jurisdictions. But how is the relationship currently with the regulatory authorities, with locals and perhaps other stakeholders in Nevada?
Yeah, look, Nevada is easily the best jurisdiction to be in the US. If you look at the Fraser Institute surveys, it's routinely in the top 5. Okay, in 2022, it was the world's premier mining jurisdiction. It's for a bunch of reasons. Permitting, depending on what state you're in, can be very challenging. So, Nevada has very transparent permitting process. It's like some elements are easier than say WA, some elements are harder, but the important thing is transparency. So you know what you're getting into. And Nevada, it was founded as a mining state. Mining is a big part of the economy, and so they're used to mining. It's an established industry there. So if you're going to be anywhere, you want to be in Nevada in the US. We've got a good relationship with the BLM. We've permitted, this will be our third lot of holes we've permitted with these with the BLM, and we find them okay to deal with. We certainly haven't any problems, and we haven't any problems with the locals either.
Okay, good news.
Mm.
Let's move to IOCG. So you spoke in detail about IOCG deposits. They can be notoriously difficult to find, but you're right. When you do get one, they can make you a lot of money. What gives you the confidence, and perhaps more to the point, what technology, what approach are you taking that gives you the confidence that you could identify an IOCG?
Yeah, look, it's a great comment. If you're not careful, you can burn up a lot of money drilling deep holes for IOCGs, no doubt about it. We've been pretty careful with our approach. What we did is we looked for the fundamentals for IOCGs, and usually from a regional perspective, they have a gravity and a magnetic anomaly associated with them. You need structure. So we looked at the Geoscience Australia data. We looked at the Northern Territory open file data. We have all that information. So we narrowed our focus down to our areas of interest, and then we've been doing targeted work programs within those areas. We've also had the assistance in the Northern Territory Geological Survey. They have these co-funding exploration grants, and Astute has we've won 4 of those so far, which they'll help with up to 50% of the drilling costs. And that hole on the drill section that I was showing on the earlier slide, that was a co-funded drill hole. And so that was the territory chipped in about 120,000 into that one. And in fact, the geophysical survey that allowed us to do that modeling, they chipped in 50% for that as well. It's exceptional to be in a new region, right? This region probably only has about 30 private sector holes in it, and it's 300 by 200 kilometers. So that gives you a sense for the kind of success we've achieved to date in identifying this anomaly.
Okay. And just to wrap it up, you recently upgraded the resource at Governor Broome Mineral Sands Project. Can we expect further upgrades?
Look, we don't need to upgrade any more at this stage, simply because the objective with that upgrade was we had quite a significant amount of inferred resources that probably made up about 40% of the total. You can only use a little bit of inferred in a scoping study. They don't, under the ASX listing rules, you need to be, they want to limit the impact of low confidence resources going into scoping studies. So that was a natural progression for the company. It was a successful program. I think 96 million out of the 101 is now measured and indicated. We probably won't look to do an upgrade at any time soon. We need to see the outcomes of this scoping study, and that'll provide us with some direction on how we want to how we best see this asset going forward to deliver value for our shareholders.
Understood. Great. Okay. Well, Matt, we look forward to seeing some of those assay results come through during the year. So it's exciting times for the company, and we wish you all the best with that. So maybe we'll get you back when you've got some great results to report. So other than that, Matt, thank you for your time today. and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Manny. Likewise.
All right. Well, that is all we have time for today. For those that have submitted questions, and if we didn't get a chance to ask and answer live, we will pass those on to the company for them to answer directly. Thank you to the presenters today, and thank you all for tuning in to this week's edition of the Hidden Gems webinar series. We will be back next Friday with the next edition. Until then, have a great weekend.